Good morning. My name is Jim Rapond, and this is Seattle Real Estate Chat. Thanks for joining us. I'm here today with my co-host, Rhonda Porter. Rhonda, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks, Jim. I'm Rhonda Porter, and I'm a licensed loan officer with Mortgage Master Service Corporation, and I'm the author of the blog, The Mortgage Porter.
Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about the new trending credit score system that Fannie Mae, I guess, had asked asked is maybe too polite a word, had put in a regulation which was part, I think, of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's manifest of new regulations. Is that right, Rhonda?
You know, I'm not entirely sure about that. I think it was, from my understanding, just something more, or maybe in addition, of wanting to have a credit report that gave a more in-depth look at a person's use of credit.
Right, and it might have been from the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act a while back. I don't follow that into the weeds that closely, but I do know this is a new regulation that's coming in, supposed to be available through various credit bureaus by June, if I'm right. Is that correct?
It's going to actually start showing up this month.
Oh, okay.
And so, but then it's going to go in effect when DU10 is released by Fannie Mae in late June.
And for the lay people, DU10 is what? Is that some sort of an airplane?
I'm sorry, desktop underwriter. So it's when their next version of underwriting. Thanks. Yeah, you got to make sure I spell it all out. When their next version is released.
Yeah, I was confused with that Home Mortgage Disclosure Act when it said, HMDA. I'm always thinking, well, the HDMI, high definition multimedia interface plug that you use on TV. So I was like, what does that have to do with mortgages? But now I got it. So anyway, so you've got a great blog post on this, which I'll post in the show notes. What's trending at your mortgageporter.com. But why don't you give us a walkthrough of what this is going to do and how it's going to be implemented?
Sure. So currently, when we get a credit report from a borrower, it shows, if you look at a line item of an account, it'll show how many payments they've made on it, what the current balance is, what the credit limit is on it. It'll show how many times they've been late on it, but it's all pretty much a summary and a snapshot of now. The new report that's going to be coming out, and actually right now it's just only Fannie Mae that's doing it. As of now, Freddie Mac is not doing it, and these are both the conforming lenders. Although I expect Freddie Mac to follow Fannie Mae, they typically do. But the new credit report is what they call trending data. And that is going to show a monthly payment history over the last 24 months. So it's going to give a lot more information to lenders about how a person uses their credit over the last 2 years. So it could be that where now, if I were to look at somebody's credit, maybe they've paid off an account or paid it down to a really low balance. And that's all I'd really know, unless they have late payments or something like that. Where now this new report will show, 10 months ago that they were maxed out on their account, or maybe they were over their credit limit. And maybe they do this often, and then just pay it down and then bring their debts back up again.
Okay, so I want to cut to the chase on the basics of this and then have you come back and give us some more detail. But so how is this going to affect people's ability to get a loan, and in what situations will that work in their favor?
The bottom line is we don't know yet. Fannie Mae has not released a real good FAQs on this yet, and their pitch on it is that it's going to help consumers get loans. Those that maybe don't have traditional credit, or those who, oftentimes I'll have a borrower where they are great. They're someone that I would lend money to because they pay off everything, and then they don't carry open credit. So they pay off everything and close it. And so it's supposed to help people like that, but we don't know yet. And my concern too is that it might hurt some people where maybe they do have let their balances get up high or go over a credit limit, and this happens in the previous a year ago or maybe just 6 months ago, but they've since paid it down. Our underwriters are going to be able to see that. And also, the other issue that I foresee is that if, let's say someone has a high balance, let's say their credit card limit's 10,000, they keep it at 10,000, and then a couple months before closing, they wind up paying it down, or before starting a transaction, I should say. And the underwriter might ask, hey, where'd you get this $10,000 from? Because funds are typically sourced. And even though these funds have nothing to do with the transaction, it's hard to say, an underwriter just want to make sure there's not another loan floating out there or whatever's going on.
So this is going to be pretty much to the lender's discretion as how they interpret this data and determine its risk or non-risk in terms of how they're going to implement it for loans. Is that right?
No, Fannie Mae will come out with guidance on how we're to interpret it. And so we don't have that guidance yet from them.
I see. Okay. So, and I did see Transunion had come up with some estimate. I have no idea where they got this. They may have pulled it out of thin air, but they said that that super prime risk tier might go from as many as 12% of people qualifying to as much as 21% qualifying. That would be, virtually almost double. So this could be a significant change for that lower income, lower credit buyer. We keep talking about affordable housing and how important it is, particularly here in the Seattle area, to find ways to make housing opportunities available. This might be a huge boon without having to tax a bunch of people.
It could. And I hope that the positive feedback that we're getting initially is true. So it's going to be interesting to see this when this comes out. I just think people need to be mindful now of what's on their credit if they're considering buying a house, because it is going to show up on their credit report. You can't just pay everything down and then anymore and have that be a snapshot type image like what we used to have.
Perfect segue into my next question. So one of the things I saw on one website, I think it was Quizzle. Yeah, it was on Quizzle when I was looking this up. They said your financial habits may be having a long-term influence on your future, and you may not even know it. What that indicated to me is, hey, we should be paying attention to what we're doing. We should actually have a proactive plan or way of dealing with payments and credit and our monetary financial situation. What are some of the tips that you would give? I know it's new and we don't have an idea how it's going to affect yet, but you could maybe kind of crystal ball this as to what type of behavior should people start doing now so that they could take advantage of this.
The first thing I would recommend, and thanks for asking this, Jim, I think it's a real important question, is to make sure that you, number one, that your credit cards are below the credit limit. So, and sometimes, it doesn't take much. If it's just like $5 over the limit, not only does it really impact your score, but it is something that lenders look at. And then the next thing you want to do is try to keep your balances under 50% of the credit limit. So if you have a credit card where, let's say, the limit is $10,000, you want to make sure you keep your balance under $5,000. And it doesn't matter if it's a $100 credit limit or a $10,000 credit limit. That 50%, keeping it below, only using 50% of your credit line, will help your scores. And and lenders don't like to see heavy utilization of credit accounts. You're supposed to have like 2 or 3 to be ideal, actually 3 or so. But if you overuse them, it's a concern to the lender.
So, and to sort of try to again grasp how we can proactively do things about this as consumers. When I hear the word trending, I always think of something going up or going down in terms of a pattern. So my question is, what things should we try to increase doing or decrease doing? Like, should we start making more payments on credit cards, given what you just said about keeping it under 50% limit? Or should we start decreasing our amount of purchases? What would be a trend direction that a lender would probably think is a positive thing?
Well, the ideal way to use a credit account for as far as lender and credit scoring would be to keep a very small balance and pay it off monthly, but that doesn't work for everybody. And it also kind of depends on too, like what a person's financial scenario looks like it right now, for someone who is just getting started off with credit, it would make sense to, to buy something and keep it low and maybe make some payments for a while to help establish credit. But and if you have a credit card that is, is higher, then yeah, you don't want to use that one, because you do want to keep those limits under 50%. Under 30% is ideal.
And for the credit card companies, I'm not sure what the incentive for them is. If for, let's say, someone who's establishing credit and they get a credit card and they're very disciplined about paying it off every month, the credit card wants to charge 10 or 20% interest, whatever it is. They're not getting anything other than maybe a service fee out of it. So what's the incentive for them to give credit to a newer consumer who's being very good? Don't you need to have some kind of a rollover balance in order for them to go, even if it's $10 or $20, they're going, okay, I collected 15% on his $10 or whatever, that motivates them to want to give you the credit. Is that not the case?
Well, I think that as someone who has, children that have graduated college and are younger and just starting off, credit card companies are all too happy to give them credit, young people. And I think it's because they're betting that odds are in their favor that most of them aren't going to pay them off, and they are going to build up credit. So, and rack up debt. So I think they have no worries doing that. And what a borrower can do, or someone that is having a hard time establishing credit, is they can get a secured credit card too. And that would work the same.
Okay, and so my next question is for the consumer who may want to sort of, try to make this work in their favor. Is there some sort of special thing that's going to happen with the credit reporting bureaus like Experian, or I know they've got something coming out, the three main ones that people use?
Two of them are ready to roll with this now, and I can't remember which one. There's one that's holding out, I believe, and of the three major bureaus, I want to say it's, oh boy, I think it's Experian, but I'm not positive. But one of them is holding out and won't be ready to do this, I believe, until next year. So, so that. So I don't know about anything special that they may be doing. I mean, we'll find out as we start to see these reports being published, being prepared and provided to us.
Yeah, I did find on Experian here. I don't know if you can see this on screen. They had this thing on trending credit, trending alerts, and I don't know if it's the same thing, but it's what I got when I looked up credit score trending on Google. I lead on Google for everything, it seems. But anyway, I don't know if this is something special they're offering, some sort of special alerts to help you know how you're trending or what. But I guess that might be a place for people to sort of at least check out and see if it makes sense. What are the other two again that people tend to use the most?
Well, there's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Okay, right. Oop, I lost you there for a second. There, you're back. Okay, yeah. So I didn't find anything on those other two sites. So this is the only other one. Anything else you want to share on this? Because if there's other information, I don't know what other questions to ask about it. I'd love to be able to tell my clients, hey, do this because if your credit's bad, because this new trending data thing can work in your favor, even though your credit isn't that established, because lenders are probably going to look favorably if you do these things. But I have no idea what to tell them other than go to these sites.
Yeah. Do you have the PDF that I emailed you of what it may look like, the credit report? I emailed it this morning. If not, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's okay.
They just need to be mindful of how they use their credit. Probably the biggest, and this is regardless of these of the new trending credit style report, but probably the biggest no-no that I see happen with people that get ready to buy a home is they go out and buy a car before they buy a home. And I don't think they realize like how much that can impact scores. I hear it all the time. And I just, yeah, I know my credit's great because I just bought a car. And it's like, oh man, you probably just dropped it 100 points,
Yeah.
So I mean that, just to really meet with a loan originator as soon as possible. And because even if they think their credit's great, you do need to be really mindful, even if you're not buying for 6 months, of what your credit looks like.
Right. Okay. Well, and I will. I'm sorry I didn't get that to, email and attach it here for us to look at on live today. But what I will do is I'll get it and put it in the show notes as a link for anybody who's watching this to be able to pull up and download. Well, that's great. Anything else you want to share with us about this before we sign off?
No, just rates are really low. They're at 12 months lows again. And yeah, great time to buy a house if you can find one and win a bid
if you
on
can
one.
find one. Yeah, that's the issue that everybody's been probably talking about. It's just inventory is 30% down from the same month a year ago, which was already low. So buyers are very frustrated because of the lack of choices out there. So if you're thinking of selling your home, now is a great time. Call me because you'll be able to get a premium for your home now. And who knows, it'll probably go up in the future at some amount by some amount. But what you can count on now is that there are a line of buyers who want to buy quality properties at a right price. So if you fit into that category and you've got real estate and you're kind of going, well, I don't really know if it's good or time or not, and you are going to want to sell, now is a great time. And there was an article, you probably saw it in the news, it was on TV, and it was a survey, actually not a survey, some data that Zillow had collected that shows that late spring, early summer, that May, June timeframe is the absolute best time to put your home on the market, because you'll reap an average of about $2,400 more on an average during that time frame. So that's when people are looking. It kind of makes sense because people, especially with families with kids, are trying to get into a place and get settled before and while they have time to do what they need to do to have their kids get enrolled and get all set up and all that and moved and then be able to enjoy the summer and take their vacations and all that. So anyway, that just a little plug there. And like you said, mortgage rates are great too. So you put them together and it's pretty great timing.
Right. It can be. Yeah. And I saw that Seattle Times, I believe, just came out with an article that prices in King County are up 40%. Yeah.
The prices have gone up significantly. So you're probably going to have a pretty decent amount of equity if you bought your home more than 3 to 4 years ago. Even 2 or 3 years ago, you would have a good amount of equity, and we're past those point peaks in 2008. Even if you bought at the top of the market back in 2007, 2008, whenever, you will be at a higher price point than that now, and have some equity to put in your pocket. So anyway, so that's about it. I just wanted to point out too that we're on our, did you know, Rhonda, we're on our 52nd episode?
No, I didn't know. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it for a couple of years, so it's not like one a week. It's not just 1 year, but that's a lot of episodes. So we're starting to really build up a bank of really good topics. Some of them are news, meaning topical for the moment type of things, but there's also a ton of in-depth, interesting topics on condominiums and homes and mortgages and all that. So I encourage people to go look at them. There's a playlist on YouTube, which you can find on our YouTube channel. I got a URL to make this easier, so I'll share that with people. It's seattlerealestate.chat. It's like a .com, except chat represents more like what we do here. So that takes you straight to the YouTube playlist where all 52 episodes are there for you to watch or download or whatever. So I wanted to share that with people. Rhonda, you want to tell them also about your website?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I have a blog that it is, I've been writing it for many, many years, and it's mortgageporter.com, and it's really geared towards consumers and just to help explain the mortgage process. So the ever-changing mortgage process.
Yeah, and just to point it out for people, if they're watching this episode, the current most recent blog post, "What's Trending," fits right in with our topic here. So I'm sure you can search that. If you look at this at a later date, you can search on that at mortgageporter.com and find the article that relates to this topic there. So that's about it for today. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. We got some interesting people and topics lined up. We've been doing this, like I said, 52 episodes now. So we appreciate your feedback. If you've got any questions or topics you want us to cover, let us know. You can always hashtag us on Twitter, hashtag Seattle RE Chat, or just email us or call us. All our contact information is included. Thanks so much. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.